A woman was alone in a dark room. Although the chamber he was in was large, the lamp that was lit next to him was not enough to dispel the night darkness that enveloped the entire world. He was waiting for his prey in the dark. Roderick Allen Weishafen. That was the name of the man who was to be sacrificed. I can do it. No, I have to do it. For my father. She, with fine silver hair and blue eyes, took out a dagger from her chest with a stiff expression. It was an item that did not match well with her elegant and luxurious dress, but she looked at the dagger with eyes that could not tell what was on her mind. The precious dagger encrusted with violet diamonds in a sheath made of platinum was a treasure that his father treasured like his own body. A precious object that no one was allowed to touch. He had lent him such a precious dagger. Kill his father's enemy, Duke Roderick Weishafen. I have to do it well. I cannot fail my father's expectations. He strengthened his resolve and hid the dagger again. Because her father was her only family and she would do anything for him. She was determined to kill Roderick Weishafen. It was no exaggeration to say that he lived only for this day. In order to kill Roderick, she learned assassination skills from an early age, and it was 2 years ago that she entered this mansion posing as his only lost daughter. It was fortunate that her appearance was similar to that of the lost princess, Isla Heiling Weishafen. His father had lived his entire life without his right hand. Roderick's sword cut him. It wasn't just that. He said his father had taken away everything he should have enjoyed. That's why my father lived his entire life as a criminal and a fugitive. The same thing happened with her. During his childhood, he wandered from one place to another with his father. Then, 2 years ago, she entered this mansion posing as Roderick's long-lost daughter. She might have been happy because she was killing an enemy like that, but for some reason she felt dissatisfied. Because? He couldn't explain this feeling clearly. He might have developed a little affection for Roderick and his wife, Ophelia. Or maybe she was scared by the fact that she was going to kill someone for the first time in her life. Although he had mastered the skill of harming people countless times, actually doing so was another matter. Don't think about useless things. She scolded herself and shook her head. This was necessary. To avenge his father. And to find his name. He lived his entire life without knowing his name or his father's. Her father always called her my daughter, and her father's subordinates only called her Miss. They all had a name. Even her father's dog had a name, but she, whom everyone called Miss, couldn't have a name. He always asked his father to tell him his name, and he always said that. It would be too dangerous if I found out your real name. The day this father's revenge ends, that day I will tell you your name. She and her father had been on the run their entire lives. He had no choice but to wait, believing his father's words that it was so. It was dangerous for his name to be known. When he finished the job, if he killed his father's enemy, he would know his name and his father's. She believed so. When she was struggling with the unknown emotions that were silently blooming inside her. There was a knock on his door. He came. He felt his heart sink. Am I not mentally prepared yet? No, the preparations had already been made a long time ago. But when it happened, she couldn't help but feel nervous. Princess, His Excellency the Duke has arrived. Ask him to come in. He tried to calm his shaking hands and opened his mouth. Finally, the door opened and Roderick Weishafen entered. He had black hair, blue eyes, and a strong body that belied his 40-year-old age. The best swordsman in the empire and head of the Weishafen family, the guardians of the empire. Although Roderick was always suspicious of his surroundings with his piercing eyes, he was a kind father to his daughter. I'm here, Isla. What were you doing without turning on the lights? Seeing him enter the room with a friendly smile on his face, she felt like something was prickling inside her chest. Silly. Not knowing that this is a trap intended to take his life, He watches as he runs like crazy when his daughter yells at him that she has something to say. It would have been nice to ridicule that nonsense, but that didn't happen. It's not the first time I come to your room, so I'm nervous for no reason. Roderick scratched the back of his neck in embarrassment and entered the dark room. The door closed and the two men were alone. Roderick's eyes suddenly became sharp. Is there anyone else in the room besides us? Sorry? Oh no. I was alone. He couldn't hide his shame. Things go wrong even before she pulls out her dagger. It was because there was someone else in this dark room. Someone was hiding. Roderick was a sword master who transcended humanity. It seemed as if he had sensed her presence with his keen senses. Stay behind me. But contrary to her concerns, Roderick did not seem to doubt his daughter. It was natural for him to believe that she was the real Isla Weishafen. Roderick wrapped his arms around her securely and walked towards the closet, where someone was hiding. It was an opportunity that will never come again. He turned his back on a murderer. If he hesitated now and missed the chance, he wouldn't have a second chance. He took out his father's hidden dagger, intending to kill him, and approached Roderick. He needed to be stabbed in one fell swoop. He brandished his dagger at his father's enemy, holding his breath so as not to even make a sound. But in that brief moment, Roderick turned and reflexively grabbed the dagger. Isla, what is this? He looked like he couldn't believe his daughter was suddenly pointing a knife at me. Isla held on to the handle with all her might to keep the dagger from being taken away. Roderick could not be killed except by surprise. She was sure that she would not be defeated in a one-on-one combat against any knight, no matter how good they were, but no matter how good an assassin she was, it would be difficult for her to defeat Roderick. Is it the end? Am I going to fail like this? Just when he was about to be disappointed, blood was seen dripping from Roderick's hand as he held the dagger with his bare hand. It's a success. The sharp blade was covered in deadly poison. Even Roderick, who transcended the human body, would not be able to overcome this deadly poison. Why? Not knowing that even at this very moment, a deadly poison was flowing through his veins, taking his life minute by minute. Roderick's face was filled with only perplexity. Isla. Isla, Isla. Roderick, who was just repeating his daughter's name, stumbled and hit the wall as if the poison began to take effect. Don't call me by that name. I'm not your daughter. He felt nauseous. That was disgusting. He couldn't understand where this displeasure came from. The fear of someone dying before your eyes? Or was it his hatred towards Roderick, who ruined his father's life? Isla, my daughter. As if the poison was faithfully doing its job, Roderick's once strong body lost strength and fell to the ground. But still, his resentment towards her could not be seen in his eyes. Instead, what he felt was longing, regret, and infinite affection. Because? I'm sorry, Isla. I'm sorry. Despite the sound of heavy breathing, Roderick did not stop talking. Until the end, he just looked at her with eyes full of affection. What a fool. Not me. Isla is not your daughter. He tried to deny it, but he still felt nauseous and couldn't open his mouth. And then, Roderick Allen Weishafen. The closet door opened and the person hiding in the closet came out. Red hair and bright amber eyes. An elegant gesture. And a crude prosthetic hand instead of where the right hand should have been. He was her precious father. I'm finally getting rid of you. I said it. I will definitely get rid of you. I will keep that promise. His golden eyes shone in the darkness. His face was filled with joy as he smiled happily. You took my Ophelia, you gave my place, which belonged to me, to my brother, and you even took my right hand. I was wondering how to kill you in a more painful way. You are Byron. Roderick's eyes widened as if he recognized his father. She called him something in a dying voice, but he couldn't hear anything except the name Byron. You're right. It's me, Byron. You remember it well. You shouldn't forget the name of the person you betrayed so easily. Byron. Apparently that was his father's name, something I had wondered about all my life. Roderick's eyes seemed to want to say something else, but it seemed like he was no longer allowed to breathe. He gasped as if even breathing was painful and died shortly after. I couldn't even close my eyes. Goodbye, old friend. It doesn't go very far. Byron closed his eyes with a happy expression. As he watched the scene silently, he let out the breath he had been holding. It was terrible. Oh dear. My daughter. You did your homework well. Then I should praise her. Byron approached her, who was unable to even think about moving, and snatched the dagger from her hand. I will remove this dagger now. Thanks for your hard work. After roughly cleaning the blood from Roderick's clothes that was scattered on the floor, his father put his precious dagger back in its sheath. Then he kissed her hair like he always did. As if it were infinitely more adorable. Now, I guess I should tell you your name like I promised, right? Before that, shall we toast first? He took out a bottle of champagne from somewhere and poured it into a luxurious crystal glass. She looked at the glass of champagne in his hand. I didn't feel like drinking. If I swallowed anything, I felt like I was going to vomit immediately. Go ahead, drink it. You will feel better. Let's talk later. Byron smiled and elegantly took a sip of the champagne in his glass. Looking at her like this, she reflexively raised the glass to her mouth and a murmur began to arise from outside her. It seemed that the plan had begun. Byron planned to attack the mansion entirely after she killed the Duke. He closed his eyes tightly and took a sip of the champagne. The feeling of the hot liquid going down his throat was not good. It seemed like the alcohol was stronger than it looked. Yes, it's true. Byron, who was watching her drink champagne, smiled and his eyes sparkled. In a dark room where even the moonlight was obscured by clouds, only his golden eyes seemed to shine brightly. Now tell me my real name. She opened her mouth. The sound seemed to come from very far away, as if someone else was speaking through his mouth. Well. A promise is a promise. Byron smiled and sat on the sofa with his legs crossed gracefully. It was a real contrast to the Duke's corpse lying on the cold ground. Your name is Isla. The moment Byron opened his mouth, blood came out of his mouth. You are Isla Heiling Weishafen.